U.S. President Donald Trump's name has now, for the first time, surfaced in the Jeffrey Epstein files in a significant and controversial way. Among the newly released documents is an unclassified FBI intake form dated October 2020, generated after a call to the FBI's National Threat Operations Center. The caller claimed to have information related to Jeffrey Epstein and his associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. The same document includes another statement attributed to a redacted source claiming that Donald J. Trump had raped her along with Jeffrey Epstein. The age of the alleged victim is not specified in the report. The intake form also details a separate account in which a redacted individual claimed she met a woman who invited her daughters to a fancy hotel where they allegedly encountered Donald Trump and several of his friends in 1997. All names connected to these allegations remained redacted, and the document reflects claims reported to the FBI, not verified findings or charges. President Trump's name appears multiple times throughout the same FBI intake report. In another section, an individual claiming to be a former limousine driver in the Dallas-Fort Worth area told authorities that he once picked up Trump and drove him to DFW Airport. The caller alleged that during that ride, Trump was overheard speaking on the phone, repeatedly mentioning the name Jeffrey and making references to abusing some girl. These statements are presented in the document as unverified claims, based solely on the caller's account. In a recent statement, the Department of Justice addressed the nature of some claims contained within the files. The DOJ stated that certain documents include untrue and sensationalist claims that were submitted to the FBI shortly before the 2020 presidential election. The department emphasized that these claims are unfounded and false, and said that if they had any credibility, they would have already been used against Trump. The DOJ added that the files were released out of a commitment to transparency, while still maintaining legally required protections for Epstein's victims. Despite the mentions in the documents, Trump has consistently denied any wrongdoing in connection with Jeffrey Epstein. He has not been accused of any crime, has not been charged, and has never been identified by law enforcement as the subject of an investigation related to Epstein.
Were you surprised by the number of photos of Bill Clinton in the Epstein files? And can you commit to their full release by the end of the year?
I know there are a lot of people that are angry about all of the pictures of other people, but I think it's terrible. Look, I like Bill Clinton. I've always gotten along with Bill Clinton. I've been nice to him. He's been nice to me. We've always gotten along. Respect him. I hate to see photos come out of him, but this is what the Democrats, mostly Democrats, and a couple of bad Republicans are asking for. So they give you their photos of me too. Everybody was friendly with this guy, either friendly or not friendly. But he was around. He was all over Palm Beach and other places. The head of Harvard was his best friend, Larry Summers, and Bill Clinton was a friend of his. But everybody was. I actually threw him out of Mar-a-Lago, and as a person that was in Mar-a-Lago, I threw him out. Mar-a-Lago, this is Mar-a-Lago. It's the hottest place I think it's the hottest place in the world, but it's the hottest place in Florida, and everybody would come here. He'd come here. We actually threw him out. But no, I don't like the pictures of Bill Clinton being shown. I don't like the pictures of other people being shown. I think it's a terrible thing. I think Bill Clinton's a big boy. He can handle it, but you probably have pictures being exposed of other people that innocently met Jeffrey Epstein years ago, many years ago, and they're highly respected bankers and lawyers and others.
Newly released Justice Department files also reveal new details about the U.S. president's past travel on the private jet of disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. According to the documents, Trump may have flown on Epstein's jet more times than previously reported, during a period now central to federal investigations tied to Epstein and his longtime associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. At the center of the new disclosures is a 2020 internal email sent by a New York assistant U.S. attorney referencing flight records tied to Epstein's private jet. The email states that Donald Trump was listed as a passenger on at least 8 flights aboard Epstein's jet between 1993 and 1996.
The Justice Department has released tens of thousands of new documents connected to the investigations into late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. While voluminous, the release contained little revelatory information that wasn't already in the public domain. It contains multiple mentions of President Donald Trump, who was friends with the financier before they had a falling out. One of those mentions was in an email from a prosecutor who was flagging that Trump had traveled on Epstein's private plane multiple times in the 1990s. Asked for comment about that email, the White House pointed to a Justice Department statement saying that the release included false claims about Trump submitted to the FBI before the 2020 election. The email was sent in January of 2020, shortly before the filing of a criminal case against Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. It said that Trump was listed as a passenger 8 times between 1993 and 1996. Maxwell was also listed as a passenger on 4 of those flights. The prosecutor who wrote the email said they were doing so because they didn't want the information to come as a surprise. It has since been publicly reported. Trump himself has expressed frustration about the controversy over the files, saying that it was distracting from the successful work Republicans are doing.